Hello Intertubers and welcome to another game series, How to Play Frontier. So the intro is about to play. The intro is awesome and you should watch it, but I'm going to skip it and start in the recommended place. So Frontier is a sequel to Elite, which is one of the first open world games. In Elite, you flew a spaceship about the galaxy and did a bit of trading and a bit of killing people and a bit of upgrading the ship so you could kill people better. But that was about it. It was released in 1984. Frontier came out 9 years later in 1993. As a sequel of sorts to Elite. I think probably the main draw would be that it is very realistic and simulation-y. The physics is real, so that's Newtonian combat in a space simulator, which I don't think anyone ever even attempted before. And the galaxy is also real to some degree. If I go to the galaxy, here's a system called Sol. You've heard of it. I hope it contains interesting planets like Earth, and because this is a game from 1993, Pluto, although they're calling it a sphere of rock, so that's not really staking a position in the planet debate. Except, of course, that it is here, whereas many other things that we've discovered since 1993 are not. No, in a small region around Sol, in fact 2 sectors in either direction, all the stars are real. Like Sirius, that's a real star, and these stars are in approximately the right positions as well. There's just one concession, which is the Z dimension. You can rotate the plane of the galaxy and see that some stars are above it and some stars below it. The galaxy has been compressed in this direction. That was necessary to make it navigable. Without that, these distances would just be too great, and the horizontal distances would hardly matter at all. So you go past Sirius. Omicron, Eridanic, yet real, and collections of letters and numbers are also real names. So, with very few exceptions, these stars are real stars in the correct positions. But once you go beyond 2 sectors away from Sol, it's procedurally generated. The clue is kind of in the name. You get names like Liaquaqua, or however that is pronounced. Also, of course, in any star other than Sol, even the real ones, the planets are procedurally generated. Well, with a small number of exceptions. Because the promise here that you get an entire galaxy on a floppy disk, well, there just wouldn't be room to fit all of it accurately, so some concessions have to be made. And although you do tend to lose accurate stars 2 sectors away from Sol, like, notice the gap here, the gap is here, so you've got real stuff here, and then it's all made up names of varying pronounceability. But there are some real stars, even enormous distances away. I believe there's one at 0.76. Ta-da! Polaris. A bright giant, which explains why we can see it so far away, and part of the Plough or Big Dipper constellation. But that's not where we are. We are currently in Ross 154, which is a crappy little backwater. It says here, outdoor ice and water world, tourism and fishing. So what we have here is, I'm landed on this planet called Merlin. It's basically a big sphere of water with a crust of ice on it, and some fish. So if I look at the economic page, major exports, animal meat, which I guess is fish. Minor exports, water. Yeah, they got water. They got liquid oxygen, I suppose, and animal skins. Is that fish skins? Anyway, what I want, probably the first order of business in this game is to make some money, and that would mean selling animal meat to someone willing to buy it, like Barnard Star. This is an industrial system. They import food and export various manufactured things. And look at that, animal meat's a major import. So, how much can we trade? Now, a funny thing is, the manual actually says buy 1 ton of animal meat because that's all you can afford. But we can do better. And that's because this ship is not ideally equipped. Oops, we went past it. So this ship is an Eagle long-range fighter, which is the starting ship. It's crap, but you kind of have to use it at first. It has some good points, like it's very fast and small ships are difficult to hit. But also small ships can't contain a lot of cargo. It has 20 tons of cargo space, which sounds like a lot. But in this game, equipment takes up the same cargo space as used for trading stuff. So, Class 1 hyperdrive, absolutely necessary, but it weighs in at 10 tons. We now have 10 tons left. 3 pieces of equipment, scanner, autopilot, atmospheric shielding, 1 ton each. We've got 7 tons left. Then we've got weapons, 1 megawatt pulse laser and 2 missiles, which you can see here on this rotating ship. That's another 3 units of space, which leaves 4. Which is, what we have here is 2 space remaining, 2 space used. That explains that. 1 ton of hydrogen fuel came with the ship. You need hydrogen fuel to make a hyperspace jump, so we're down to 3 tons of available space for trading. Still, that can be improved if I sell the weapon and sell both missiles. Now at this point you might be concerned about what happens if I'm attacked. Well, I happen to know that I'm going to a safe system where you'll never be attacked as long as you don't force the issue by taking very dangerous contracts. So it's now possible to trade 6 tons of animal meat, bought at price 94.5. So off we go. Oh yeah, you have to request permission to launch. It's possible in an open air starport to just launch anyway. That is illegal, and the punishment for launching without clearance is death. The execution to be carried out immediately. If I try this, the starport will launch endless waves of police ships to kill me. They're not big on courts or anything like that in the year 3200. So anyway, I will do this properly. Launch request. Take off. Point the ship upwards and activate the main engine. Like if I go to the outside view and turn the camera around, this is my ship, and I'm now rising from the surface of the planet. And the frame rate's normally better, but OBS is a pain. And once you reach a certain height, you're allowed to hyperspace. According to the manual, hyperspacing creates nasty radiation, so you can't do it too close to a planet. Alright, and here we are at Barnard Star. So now would be a good time to talk about the realistic physics. Like, I have a speed, 10,000 kilometers per hour, more or less. And I'm in the engines off control mode, which means my ship's just drifting. If I turn my ship around, then I'm still drifting, but sideways. So I'll go to the outside view again. In this view you can hold down enter or return to go to fire the main engines, which you can see here is making me go faster, or you can hold down shift to go fire the reverse engines, which is slowing me down. The main engines are actually much better. I think it's 25 Gs from the main engines, which would kill you very quickly, compared to just 10 Gs from the reverse engines, which would probably also kill you, but it might take a minute. Yeah, either we have some kind of inertial dampeners, or we're just ignoring the problems caused by high G. Next mode is manual control. Here we have a set speed, which is how fast we want to go, and the ship will work out what thrusters it needs to fire and how hard to reach that desired speed. Right now it's slowing me down with the reverse thrusters. If I turn the ship around, then yeah, it can slow me down with the main thrusters, which are much faster. This can be tricky because it tries to make the actual speed into the set speed in the forward direction, but it's not allowed to rotate the ship, which means it sometimes has to use the top, bottom and side thrusters, which are pretty pathetic. Anyway, there's one further control method called autopilot, but that needs a target, so I'm just going to choose one. Birmingham World has a space station called Boston Base. We'll go here. Activate the autopilot. See, oh, we have a bottom thruster, which you just saw there briefly. Anyway, activate the autopilot, and off we go. Some other things to mention. First of all, I'll turn the names on. This is an option, you can turn names of stuff on or off, but I like to know where I'm going. And then, the real problem with this, we are about 7 AU, sorry, that's 7.8, so about 8 AU away from where we want to be. And even with the completely insane thrust 25G thrusters, it will still take days to get there, which is what these controls are for. This is pause, unsurprisingly, normal time, 10 times normal time, 100, 1,000 and 10,000 past normal time. And that final setting will turn, a journey time that would normally take days into a minute or two. And now we're docking at a planet. Sorry, at a space station. The autopilot here is very, very flaky. I've seen it crash into the space station. In fact, that was what it did the very first time I played this game in 1993. However, that was on a slow computer, an Amiga 500. More CPU cycles means the autopilot gets more chances to make course corrections. And I'm scared. This cross indicates where we're going, and it's not even pointing towards the docking window. It's pointed towards the space station wall. Oh, looks like the autopilot's trying to fix it. Oh, that's better. That's better. It's not good, but it's better. Oh, that's almost... Like, am I going to die in the very first? I may have to cheat here. I want it to show docking, but... yeah, I'm calling this is a fail. If you run time at 100 times normal or faster, it just automatically assumes that it works and magically auto-docks. So yeah, not the best ever start, but you kind of learn to live with this game's insanity. Alright, stock market first, sell the animal meat, and you'll notice selling it for almost twice what I bought it for. At this point, I can also strip the ship down completely, remove atmospheric shielding. That is for landing on planets or launching, which we don't need anymore if I stick to space stations, and remove the scanner. I would have liked to remove that at Ross 154, but that's such a shitty little backwater that they don't have the tools to remove scanners. So now I got 2,000 to trade with. I'm going to check the bulletin board, but I don't expect to see anything useful on it. Trouble is, most of these jobs require a ship with more capabilities than what I got. Well, some things worth mentioning. Goods bought and sold. Highest prices paid for items interesting or otherwise. It's the black market. I could buy 1 ton of slaves if I wanted to, and then they'd all die due to depressurization when I launched. Yeah, the trouble with illegal trading is that you can get caught and fined, and the fine is a fixed cost, which would be crippling for me right now, but absolutely inconsequential if I had a larger ship full of illegal cargo. So, crime does pay, but only for bigger ships. Also got these things, reward for useful information for somebody. Like, I almost never bother with these. Like, the only time you can make money, I think, is from this one, has an ad on this bulletin board. So if you're willing to crawl through the entire bulletin board, you can make a small amount of money. Guess what? I'm not willing. Then you got jobs like this, payment of some money for passage on a fast ship. That's basically a taxi mission. You can make money by being some kind of space taxi if you want to. But there is a bit of a problem with this, which is, you go to here, shipyard upgrades. You have to fit extra passenger cabins if you want to do that, and each one of them eats up 5 tons. And most of the time, what you're being offered for a taxi mission is less than the money you could make from just trading 5 tons of normal cargo. Also, normal cargo doesn't care where you take it. Normal cargo doesn't refuse to be sold. Whereas sometimes passengers will refuse to pay you. And normal cargo will generally just make more money. So most of the time, these taxi missions are not worth it. There are a few exceptions, and I'll point one out if it ever happens. Also, I can only ever take one person, so these jobs like passage for a group, they simply won't fit in this small ship. Now, this here we have another one. This one, you get used to this, it's a police trap. The police always call themselves Honest John for some reason. I mean, you can look at it and it looks reasonable, but it's actually not legit. To the extent that the black market could ever be legit. These things are sometimes useful. Sometimes people will need something so badly they'll pay more than the market price. A kind of a jackpot for a trader. Oh boy, wanted someone for a removal job, needs removing, payment 10,000. That's an assassination mission, and I'm pretty sure they won't even talk to me right now because my combat rating is too low. Yep, we want someone with a higher elite, which is reasonable. But it does mean that this is just one of many things that you just can't do as a new player. So what can you do as a new player? Probably just trade. So I think next we'll go to this famous system. Assault, historic federal capital, administration and tourism. Also agriculture. Like, this mostly looks like a normal agricultural system. You know, exporting crops and meat. Although, bit of a weirdness here. Luxury goods, that's probably touristy crap that you can only get from this system. And booze, okay, but what we care about right now is imports. Computers, farm machinery are the obvious ones. Also robots. Even though that's only a minor import, robots are very expensive, so we can make some money here. What does this blurb say? Birthplace of humanity. And yeah, political capital of the Federation. Oh yeah, so I'll briefly explain the political situation here. There is a federation, which is mostly centred around Sol, although you can find Federation colonies in strange places. Also, if you have a federation, you must also have an empire. I believe this was a legal requirement in 1993. Empire is down here, about 40 light years away. We'll go there at some point. So the Empire is kind of a nasty place to live. Major imports in this imperial capital. One of them is slaves, and another one is hand weapons. So, if you're a slave or the person likely to be on the business end of a hand weapon, not a great place to live. The Federation and the Empire do not like each other very much. As far as I'm concerned, well, the money's good regardless of where you are. But, I'll stay in the Federation for maybe a few weeks and then go to the Empire, because it is slightly easier to make money in the Empire. There's a few other places of note in this galaxy. One of them would be a group of independent systems. So independent is defined as anyone who's not part of the Federation or the Empire. But over here, a massive 48 light years away, there's a very interesting collection of systems. One thing that's interesting about them is they're all in the same plane. Most stars have some vertical displacement from this green plane, which is like the average height of the galaxy. But if I rotate this, well, look at that. All these systems are exactly aligned with the plane. That's pretty weird. Also, all of them have exactly one planet with one space station. This is the starting position for the original Elite. In Elite, you started at Planet Lave, and most of these names I recognise, including the famous Reed Quad. This is an anarchy system, one of the most dangerous places to go. It is highly recommended to avoid this system if at all possible. Oh yeah, we'll be going there at some point, but for the moment, I'm doing some boring trading between Barnard Star and Sol. I think these are the only two safe systems in the Federation where you won't get attacked. So buy fuel, of course, and never leave home without that. And I would like to trade computers, but yeah, can't afford to fill my hold with computers, so I think I'll make up the space with farm machinery. And that should be it. Off we go to Sol. Oh wait, I could look at the ships. You can buy new ships in this game, and this is one area where it outperforms Privateer substantially. In Privateer, there were only 4 ships, and maybe 2.5 of those were usable. Here, there's about 20 ships, and most of them are good for something. None of them, I can't afford any of them right now, because I'm starting with like one of the worst ships in the game, but I'll get there. And this is something of a life goal. The Panther Clipper has an internal capacity of 2,000 tons. Don't ask how it can weigh less than that. It really does have a negative hull weight. I think that's a bug. Doesn't really harm anything. It also costs almost 3 million, so I won't be buying this right now with my 256 credits. One possible upgrade would be an adder. This is, I think, the smallest ship which can reasonably fit a Class 2 hyperdrive. There is a slight problem in this game, which is the power of a hyperspace drive depends on the square of its class. That's why this number, 14.52, is 4 times that number, and the Class 3 distance, which is a bit theoretical. I mean, actually, yeah, you could do a jump at this distance, but it would be tricky. And this is a 9 times that number. And the trouble is, Class 2 hyperdrive weighs in at 25 tons. So after 40 tons of cargo space, that leaves 15, which is 5 more than the Eagle. But the Class 2 hyperdrive will also eat 4 tons of fuel for a jump like that, so it's actually only 2 more than the Eagle, which it is an upgrade, but not a very exciting one. Still, I probably will upgrade to something soon, if not an Adder, a Viper. Well, anyway, let me check. I have all my stuff here. Time to go to Sol. So, where should I go next? How about this planet called Earth, or one of the space stations in orbit? So I think people probably know who Abraham Lincoln and Mikhail Gorbachev were. As for Liking Zhao, that one's a bit of an oddball. In fact, Liking Zhao is the inventor of the hyperspace drive, so, you know, in universe anyway. So, checking the bulletin board, not seeing much of interest. Some guy wants to buy nerve gas. Yeah, good luck with that, dude. Aha! Oh wait, robots. I'm trading computers. Sometimes you get a similar ad here for computers rather than robots. But I'm not seeing it. Although that's not necessarily the final word on that one. Also looking at the federal military, this is just delivery missions, which is convenient because packages take up 0 space. Although most of these aren't really practical. Like, they're either too far away, or they're to a planet that I need a permit to visit, which I do not have. But I'm not quite done here. One thing that sometimes helps is shopping around. I mean, I may not get to see what I want here, but there are 3 more space stations. If I were feeling really scummy, I could also buy atmospheric shielding and check all the surface ports as well. So, oh, well, that's interesting. 1,000 credits for a package is not bad. On top of that, it's to Ross 128. And I'm going to accept this job because Ross 128 is a planet that needs a permit. Do I need a permit? If so, can I have one? Yes. So that's how you get the permit for going to Ross 128. You have to take a job with someone, not the federal military. They don't give out permits, but you have to find someone who has a legitimate job, and they'll be able to get you a permit. Now, I could just stiff this guy and never deliver his package. After all, I have the permit I want. But that would be kind of a dick move. Also, I don't see anything in the bulletin board. Who will buy my computers? With that said, I can check the federal military again. These missions, which were previously not practical, deliver to Ross 128. I can do that now. Also going to try one more time. There's one more orbital city that can be checked in a very small amount of time. Stupid autopilot's going to crash me, so... Yeah, by setting the time control to its maximum, I think I just harmlessly flew through that space station. Yeah, these missions don't change. The federal military is always the same on each planet. But some of these others... Aha! Wanted computers. Yep, as I told you, it pays to shop around. So that guy's buying computers for 1046, which is going to be twice the market price. Oopsie, no, stock market. Actually slightly more. I guess they're generated separately, but it'll always be very close to twice the market price, which is, you know, absolutely fantastic. Farm machinery, there will never be any wanted ad generated for that because it's not out of stock. I'm just looking for something else, but that's it. Okay, so next up, Ross 128. This is unfortunately a prison planet. Yeah, visitors are allowed, but an entry permit must be obtained. Fortunately, I just got one. Also, it says here you can bribe instead of have a permit. Yeah, that does sometimes work, but permits are more convenient because you never know if any random policeman will actually accept your bribe. And the economic outlook here is pretty dismal. I think my best bet is liquor. It's a major import from salt. It's a minor import here. Yeah, this is kind of a weird system because it's a prison. And I would never normally go here, but I'm just doing this mission for the permit. So buy hydrogen fuel and buy some booze. 353. And hyperspace. Hold on. So what do we have here? Alright. So this system is only one starport here, so that's where I'm going. And I just need to check. Do this by 24th of January. That is cutting it a bit tight. Rule of thumb, takes 2.5 days for this ship to get to its destination. So that's just about doable, but we'll see. I may need to cheat. Never mind. Made it with like 9 hours to spare. Wait, this guy's gonna... Why 1485 for a parcel? That's, well, for whatever reason, he paid. So yeah, I pick up like 2,000-ish extra credits for this trip, which kind of makes up for not being able to trade. Yeah, I'm just going to advance time until the police have first noticed that. So, bulletin board. Oh dear, is that it? Yeah, this is such a crappy system that very few things get generated. Oh yes, and because of that, I am now a private. Yay! Sell liquor, some profit. And it's still playing this promotion music. Ugh. Oh. So, time to go to Earth again. So, I'm trading computers and robots. They're not exports from Ross 128, but they're also not imports. So if I'm lucky, I'll be able to sell them for a small profit. A large profit if I hit the jackpot again. So check the bulletin board. Yeah, I could do that, but I'd rather not. Hang up. I'm going to shop around. Oh, so here's something that's worth warning. I'm warning about. Here we have a taxi mission, passage for 2 people on a fast ship to the Alpha Centauri system. Now, I can't do this because I don't have enough space, but suppose this wasn't an issue. It might seem that this could be done fairly quickly because Alpha Centauri is, after all, the closest star system to Sol. But beware, it says here ternary system. And what that means is, if I went here, I'd arrive in hyperspace about 10 AU away from the primary, which is like either one of these stars, or possibly even the center point between them. But civilization is here. This is where I'd have to go. A space station which orbits this planet, which orbits this star, which is 963 AU away from the primary, and that's a long distance. That would take, rule of thumb, divide by 10, 96, square root it, 9.8, multiply by 2.5. I'm just going to call it 24. And that's the number of days that the journey will take. So it's always worth looking and watch out for these ternary or worse systems, because this distance is unreasonable. I would also have to carry extra fuel because I'd actually run out of fuel. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Hydrogen fuel's used to go through hyperspace. It's also used to power the thrusters. So this gauge on the right shows how much fuel I've got. Sorry, left. I click refuel. and it's up to full again. And if you forget to fill that up and end up running out of fuel in the middle of space, then you're stranded and you're probably completely screwed. There's no fuel rights in this game, it's a single player game. Check federal military. Wait, yeah, it's the same. Wanted computers. Yes. Yeah, the robots one almost never shows. So, I'm doing okay here. Like, I now have 100,000, 10,000, which is way better than the 100 I started with. None of these missions seem all that useful. So I guess I go back to Barnard Star. And this time, that's like hydrogen fuel. This time I can afford to buy. Sorry, well, actually this is the first time I'm going back, but I can afford to fill my hull with luxury goods, which is, I think, the most profitable thing to trade. Buying for 1,200, I think I'd be selling for 1,400, something like that, we'll see. Barnard Star, Birmingham World, Boston base. Okay, no, it's only just going to the bulletin board out of habit. Alright, luxury goods bought at just over 1,200, selling for almost 1,500. So, pretty good deal. Checking the bulletin board, but I don't expect to find anything exciting. Worth trading animal skins? I think it's illegal here though. Ooh, that mission. I wish I could do that mission, but I can't. It's a mission for 2 people rather than 1. When people are offering that much, there's usually a reason. Why so much money? Emperor has issued a death warrant. Sorry, I'm not going that way. That's a lie. I actually am going that way. I could do this, but again, this is a normal taxi mission, and 240 profit? That's pathetic. That would be 48 profit per ton. Almost anything beats that. Trading robots would beat that. Federal military. Deliver a message to 61 Cygni. No. That system is a bit of a trap. I mean, never mind that I can't reach it, although it's only 9 light years, a better ship easily could. The issue here is civilization is here on one planet. But what we have here is a binary system with a separation of 77 AU. I'd arrive in the middle, so the distance I have to get to here would be around 40 AU. Now that's not nearly as bad as the 963, but it's annoyingly long distance. It will take about twice as long as normal. But I don't want to deal with that. Also on the subject of what I don't want to deal with is trading. Now, if you want to make money in this game quickly, so you can buy a better ship, then probably the best thing you can do is endless trade routes between Sol and Barnard Star. Problem with that is, it's boring, so I'm not going to do that anymore. What I'm going to do instead is go on a journey to the Empire. That will have to be in the next episode, but preview, I turn on these trading route lines. So we'll be following some of them. This will be, I think, 10 jumps. Ross 154, Arcturus, here, 36 Ophiuchi. Some random letters and numbers. Another planet, Loiton 205128. Seagrief, Exios, Anayeth, and Viquest. And from Viquest to Facis, which is the Imperial Naval Base, and possibly Achenar, the Imperial capital. So we can do some missions for the Empire as well as the Federation. And as it turns out, you can make much more money doing missions for the Imperial Navy. I'll explain that when we get to it, but well, that I guess will have to be the end of the first episode, so see you next time, I hope. Bye.